Many years ago, around the time I was in middle school, my parents had made a decision for me that while they did think they were helping me, in truth, it was the exact opposite. It actually, well, I'd say ruined my life, but that's, well, maybe it would be in a way, saying it that way. But, it was basically the sort of decision where, it made me into essentially a social pariah. And every single day, I was just reminded of how just bad I am because of it. And it stayed with me until I was a senior in high school. I actually had fixed the problem mid-junior year, actually. But by that point, the damage had already been done. I was, again, a social pariah because of it. I wouldn't get invited to any parties. No girl would date me. And, I just felt just depressed all the time. Now, that's a phrase that's tossed around a lot these days. But at the time, it was actually so incredibly bad. Well, let me explain. Ordinarily, if anyone's feeling bad, even me, you'd watch something good on TV, watch a good movie, listen to some good music, have yourself a good snack maybe, something that's gonna, take your mind off it and, make you feel better, move on. It was actually so bad that absolutely nothing would work. Nothing would make me feel better. It even got to the point where it even affected my overall judgment because the summer after I graduated from Horseheads, I actually got fired from my first job. So it was pretty bad. However, early during my senior year, my parents came up with another idea, which at the time I seemed really skeptical considering what I just described earlier. It was a Saturday afternoon in September of 2007. It was after, because I played football for Horseheads, and we had got absolutely crushed by a team from the Syracuse area called Fayetteville Manlius. They absolutely crushed us. I think the final score was like 38-7 or something. It was pretty bad. And I get home from the game, getting ready to get cleaned up and get ready to go to church that afternoon, when my parents had suggested that I should go to prep school to repeat my senior year. Not really the best moment to do that at that time, considering that, again, my football team just lost horribly. So, yeah, my parents aren't really the greatest at timing, let's say. And as you can imagine, they did explain what going to prep school indicates. I'd be repeating my senior year, and I'd be, there are lots of prep schools I could have gone to, but the one that they wanted me to go to was Trinity Palm, because that's the prep school that my uncle on my mother's side went to. Now, at that time, and even sometime after, I was absolutely having none of it. I mean, I just spent, 4 years, 6 if you include the 2 at the Horseheads Middle School, going through all this teenage angst and drama and heartache. Again, I wouldn't get invited to any parties, and no girl would date me. And now you're telling me to go to an all-boys school only for another year of, again, the drama, the angst, actually not even heartache. Again, it was an all-boys school. I mean, again, I wasn't getting any dates at Horseheads, but at the very least, that's a numbers game. I didn't even have that going for me if I went. Now, I explained before I did the State of My Being address back in September. Or maybe it was, I think it was before September, where I described, or it was August, no, it was August, where I described how, the reasons why I went to Trinity Pawling were so I could surpass this one bully who I could never beat, as well as, try and change for a girl. And those are true. In fact, they are the reason why I did go, which does sound rather selfish and rather stupid. But at the same time, I just couldn't take it anymore. And the fact I'm going to be trudging along through, again, more of the angst and, the drama, and there aren't even girls anywhere. So it came down to me ultimately thinking the unthinkable. I had contemplated suicide. And I was going to damn well do it. And so at this point of the story, all of you guys know, because I had explained this at least once before, it was a Tuesday, September 2nd, 2008, when I had, went to Trinity Pawling. I think what finally had gotten me in terms of emotion was on the way there, where we were in our drive actually wasn't that far in. We were, if I were to look to my right, we would have seen the city of Elmira to the right, which I'm trying to think I can see Elmira to my right now because I live in Elmira. But anyway. So at that point, I get a call from my grandmother telling me that she loved me, she wanted me to be safe, and I just started crying because I was genuinely convinced that it was going to be the last time I'd hear her voice. And later that day, again, Tuesday, September 2nd, 2008, I had arrived at Trinity Pawling, and I had immediately got to work with, cross country, because I literally started cross country practice that day. Now, I should probably explain, during that summer, since I couldn't play football at Trinity Pawling anyway, I knew I was going to run cross country, so, I did, train. In fact, around a couple weeks before I went to Trinity Pawling, I upped my training to working out twice a day because I was convinced that was what my life was going to be like. I mean, you do 2 days in football, why not do 2 days for cross country, right? So, knowing that I was going to Trinity Pawling, and knowing that there I really was going to kill myself, the only question was, when was I going to do it? Well, fortuitously enough, between doing cross country, doing the fall production of Black Comedy, and getting my schoolwork done, because, I am in school, they give you work to do, you gotta do it, right? I actually had gotten to be so incredibly busy that, days, weeks, months go by, and we're already at, the fall honors for sports. The fall honor awards for sports or whatever. And turns out that training I had done before going to Trinity Poly, and all the hard work I was putting into there, actually was in fact bearing fruit. I had gotten, great praise from my peers in how I performed in black comedy, as well as for running cross country. I had won the Sean McCabe Award, which it would be a very sort of happy moment for me when one of your coaches walks up to you and says, because of that award, your name is now forever engraved in Trinity Poly history. I had never even remotely thought of it that way. And it's probably coming across that, I wasn't proud. I mean, I am proud now, and at the time, I was very proud. Absolutely. I mean, again, I'm, all the hard work I put into, what I've done in terms of cross country, my grades were actually pretty solid. Doing, black comedy, getting praise from at the time, my peers, because at the time, that's really all I thought of them as before the whole brother thing. This is great. This is much more than anything I ever got at horse ads. And again, I was extremely proud. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, who are you kidding? This isn't going to last. Sooner or later, everyone's going to forget about this and move on, and, you'll go back to feeling the way you do. Again, I'd gotten so incredibly busy that I had forgotten what my objective was. Because again, I said I was going to, kill myself, but I hadn't done that yet because of all the hard work I was doing. Again, fortuitously enough, right? So at that point, it's starting to get really cold. I'm still thinking this suicide thing in the back of my mind. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll do it after we come back from, Christmas break. Because, one last holiday with the family. My birthday is December 28th. So I would have celebrated turning 19 at that time. And, I'll go home and then I'll do it. And believe me, I had some pretty good ideas too for how I was going to go about doing it. Jump out of the 4th story of Cluet, walk into the pond when it was still not quite frozen but still cold enough where if I stayed in there long enough, I'd freeze to death. I had options. And again, I was going to damn well do it. So I was going to wait until, January of 2009 and boom, I was going to do it somehow. Now, at this point, you guys are probably wondering, well, it's no longer January of 2009. Not even remotely like that anymore. So, what happened? What made you change your mind? What made you think that, life really is worth living for? Life is beautiful and all that stuff. Well, it had happened on this very day, 11 years ago. Well, I should probably take a moment to explain. This part of the story takes place over the span of several days, but it started on the 14th of December because it was right before we would go home for winter break. We would have gone home Wednesday the 17th, actually. I'll never forget what happened on this day. I remember as if it happened already. I remember as if it just happened. I remember it as if it just happened. want to work on pronunciation there. Right. So it was a Saturday, so today, actually. And the wrestling team, because that's what I went to Trinity Polling for, was for wrestling, was going to the Loomis Chaffee Dual Meet Tournament. Now, this was actually a new experience for me because in all my years of wrestling for horse heads, we never went to any dual meet tournaments. So this was a new experience for me. And so we get to, and on top of that, it was going to be the first time that my father was coming down to see me wrestle for the blue and the gold. Wrestle for the pride. And what made matters even more significant is I had an opportunity to wrestle against someone who 1 week prior at the Canterbury Invitational that I lost to. I was going to have an opportunity to wrestle against someone who I had lost to 1 week ago at the Canterbury Invitational. He was a kid from Avon Old Farms. But before I go, I want to say, I wonder how sometimes I wonder how that guy's doing, because I just got to know him more, because I wrestled him a lot, and I wonder how he's doing. I'm sure he's doing okay. Just want to point that out. So, your first dual meet tournament, your father's come to watch you wrestle for the first time for Trinity Polling, and you have an opportunity to beat someone who had beaten you previously. Again, with your father in the stands cheering you on. Well, needless to say, there's no way I was going to let this opportunity pass me by. So, I won. I ended up going, technically 3-1 because one of my matches was a forfeit, but I won 2 matches. So, yeah. All in all, it was a really good day. And again, it's probably coming across like I'm rather, petty toward this kid for me. I'm really not. He was actually a really nice guy. I got to know him. Actually, I kind of wonder how he's doing. Again, hope he's doing okay. Anyway, so my father had taken me home back to Trinity Polling, that is, because he was going to stay the weekend and visit me for a while. Because there was also going to be a Christmas party going on as well the next night. My father had taken me home back to Trinity Polling, and I showed him Putnam Diner, which is a really popular place among Trinity Polling students. In fact, the first time I ever went, my dorm parent actually took us there for advisee dinners. So yeah, I took an opportunity to show my father Putnam Diner, and I told him that there was a good steak, and like me, he's a big steak connoisseur, but I also told him that Putnam Diner is a place where you can get breakfast all day. So needless to say, we had a pretty nice evening together. And so he dropped me off. It was almost like 10 o'clock at night, so 10 o'clock was pretty much my bedtime then, so that was the end of my day. You're probably thinking at this point, well, Nick, that sounds like a really good story. It's really nice. Well, unfortunately, I wish the story could simply end there. The next day, which is a day I'll also never forget, I had gotten up early, got dressed, waiting for my father, and it was weird. Sometimes we have a Sunday chapel at Trinity Polling, but this particular weekend we weren't supposed to. But I'm waiting in the sort of game room that I showed you guys, in Dunbar Dormitory, just laying on the couch. And my dorm parent / advisor, walks in and says, go to the church. And, technically I really had some time to kill before my father, and I'm sure whatever's going on really isn't that bad or that significant. So why not? So, head to the church, and, well, the atmosphere of a church is always supposed to be, quiet. We all know this. But this instance seemed particularly bleak. So much so that a dear friend of mine, who actually I did a lot of theater with, he was in my theater class, and he was a really good lacrosse player. In fact, I do believe he's coaching college lacrosse right now, actually. He was sitting next to me, to my left, and typically he had a very pale complexion. That's just how he normally looked. But this instance, he seemed more pale than usual, as if he had seen a ghost. And still, at that time, I really wasn't thinking much of it. And then came our headmaster, who had gotten up on the altar stand to talk to us. And it had turned out that one of our brothers had passed away that night. His name was Andrew Einstein. Now, I've said this before in the past, but if you don't know, Andrew Einstein is one of the 16 of the left. He was a teammate that I had who I looked to for strength. And you're about to know why, if you don't know already. He was going to Trinity Pawling for lacrosse. Now, at that time, lacrosse at Trinity Pawling was nothing short of huge. Well, I should explain, by all accounts, it's still pretty big, but to put things into perspective, the year before I had arrived at Trinity Pawling, they had just won New England's, which would be the equivalent, say, of someone like Horseheads or Corning or Elmira winning states. So this is pretty significant. And, he went to, Trinity Pawling to play lacrosse and hopefully have a good year again. So, yeah. And needless to say, absolutely everyone loved him. He was a nice guy. He was really good at sports. He ran cross country with me, so he was my teammate. That's how he was my teammate. And again, he was from South Carolina, so he had to have that Southern gentleman accent that everyone seems to like, which I couldn't really blame you if you didn't like it. I couldn't blame you if you liked it either. So, yeah. He was the absolute perfect guy. And it's just such a whiplash because, I just explained to you, the hardships I had, going to Horseheads and what I had to go through. And, you have this perfectly great guy, he passed away. He had killed himself. I thought I had every right to do it in comparison, but I didn't. Now, at that time, I'm thinking, okay, this is serious, but, just watch. We're about to go on winter break. We're going to be gone for several weeks. We're going to be with our family, celebrate the holidays. Our minds are going to be taken off of this pretty easily, right? So then I'll come back to do it myself. If you had told me what had happened next, I do not think I ever would have believed you. Over the span of the next several days, there was all sorts of arrangements and meetings discussing Andrew. I actually was singing in the choir when we had his funeral service, which is actually a really interesting thing going on, because we had the head chaplain, attorney Pauling, and we had a rabbi there, because with Andrew Einstein, his mother was Episcopalian and his father was Jewish. I actually know that about him. Then again, with a name like Einstein, I probably could have figured it out if I had thought about it. No offense, by the way, I don't mean anything offending by that. So, through all of that, I see all of my brothers, hugging and crying and having each other's backs. Sound familiar? And at that point, two things were going through my head. The first was, if it had been me who had done it, who had, done the deed and, killed myself, let's say, would I have elicited a similar reaction? Because remember, I had a pretty good fall trimester, doing good in black comedy, doing well running cross country, getting good grades, hanging out with my peers, I had a pretty good time. I was having a pretty good time, all things considered, how I was feeling. Would I have elicited a similar reaction? Would these gentlemen be weeping for me? And the short answer is, and the only logical answer to that is, I don't know. And this is the other thing I was referring to that I was thinking about. I'll never know. Because I can't do that to these guys. I can't. They're hugging, they're crying, they have each other's backs at a time when, this is at a time when, oh, men aren't supposed to show much. Well, believe me, there wasn't a dry eye anywhere. And I wasn't going to do that to them. So, I didn't. And I never will. Now, longtime viewers are probably thinking, well, Nick, you did this video a year ago. Why are you doing it again? This particular video. Well, it's because every single year on December 14th, I take this day and I use it as a reminder that it really could have been me. And sometimes maybe I think it should have been, but it wasn't. And I am forever thankful for that, because though Andrew had passed away, he saved my life. Through my brothers' collective unity, weeping for Andrew the way they were, my brothers saved my life. Now, at this point in the story, you're probably expecting some sort of, happy ending, let's say. And to be perfectly honest, well, if you really want to be technical, the ending happens when it is unfortunately, my time. But that's actually the beauty of it, because I'm not going anywhere. Again, and this is something I really should explain as well. Back in late 2008, early 2009, that was my time to do it. And if I didn't do it then, I'm certainly not going to do it now. I mean, again, I couldn't do it now after what I witnessed. And that's the beauty of it. You know, I was able to decide for myself that no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay alive and stay strong for my brothers. And I still have. But again, it's not like I'm expecting a happy ending from this. Because I'll be honest, with 11 years since this has happened, my life really hasn't been all that great. I mean, I could go into an entire series of videos as to how truly awful that the last 11 years have been. I mean, I won't. I won't because really you guys don't need to hear any of that. You know, I mean, nothing else. I kind of want to make the videos I make every day to make you feel good to some degree. So, talking about how bad my life is would probably not be a good idea. And again, in the last 11 years, there has been a lot of bad, believe me. But if you think it's been all bad, it couldn't be further from the truth. You know, I got to graduate from Trinity College, and then, 4 years later, I got to graduate with a Bachelor of Arts in Health Sciences from Gettysburg College. I got to not only run 4 marathons, but every year I ran the marathon, I would also do the 100-mile Tour de Cuca. And again, the same year, and both events are not even 3 months apart from each other. I'm probably one of the only people who's ever really done that once, let alone 4 times. I got to witness my brother, find the love of his life, propose, get engaged, get married. And even though I had my, problems with the overall wedding as a whole, I still got to see it happen. And then came that day in the year of our Lord, November 7th, 2019, when I became an uncle to twins. A year ago I had said that I'd spent the last 10 years not knowing what the hell I'm doing. But I was alive to be able to say that. But now I can say that I'm alive to have become an uncle to these 2 boys. And when I finally got to hold both of them, not at the same time, I held one first and the other, hopefully in even amounts, because, I don't want to play favorites. The phrase, I feel right, is one that's tossed around a lot. But I say this on all of you. For me, nothing felt more right than holding them. It didn't. And I got to be alive to see it, and I got to be alive to do it. Sorry. This is why I brought the bear, by the way. I need something to hug. And it doesn't just, and the best part is it doesn't just stop with me being an uncle either. I make videos every day. Lots of things have happened. I've been to Trinity Calling not once, but twice in, the last, 10 years. I actually got to, forgive, the worst person I ever knew at Trinity Calling. I got to forgive them. You know, even other stuff too, like, you know what, I finally got to try peas macarons. That was really cool. I finally got to try those. You know, if I wasn't alive, I wouldn't be able to have them now, would I? So, again, there's been a lot of bad. But this is pretty damn good too. I mean, you know, it even goes further, you know, I got to see not one, not two, not three, but 4 Avengers movies. I got to see the end of Harry Potter. I got to see the end of great film franchises like, you know, Toy Story and Kung Fu Panda and How to Train Your Dragon. I got to do all that. And it's all because, I mean, it is because, again, you know, Andrew had passed away. But if he hadn't, I still wouldn't be making this video right now. And again, it's been some pretty bad too. In fact, just a little over 4 years later, I lost another one of my brothers named Sean Bertanza, who is also one of the 16 of the left, and someone I also look to for strength. It's actually on my bucket list to go to the state of South Carolina and the state of Connecticut to go see Andrew and Sean respectively. And when I do, you know, I'll definitely bring some flowers. I would definitely remember to purchase flowers. You know, probably roses or perhaps a bouquet of the state flower of South Carolina and Connecticut. Actually, I actually did a little research prior to doing this video, and believe it or not, the state flower of South Carolina is known as the yellow jessamine. So they're actually a very pretty flower. I like them. But yes, I would go to their gravesite, you know, gently place the bouquet of said flowers in front. I would stand there, you know, thinking a lot. But at some point I would say these very words. And also, before I continue, forgive me, I don't know what the state flower of Connecticut is. I'll look that up a little bit later when I talk about Sean in a couple of days. Where was I? Oh yeah. So I would go to Andrew's grave site, and I would utter these very words. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be ever at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rain fall softly on your fields. And until we meet again, my brothers, may the Lord hold you in the palm of his hand. You know, this is sort of a quick, good story about Andrew. I've said this story many times, but it's still a good one. One afternoon during cross-country practice, we're coming up with funny names for the dorms, and I had come up with, bar stoners, and Andrew had laughed at that. He really was a truly great guy. So any of my brothers at Trinity Pong, you knew him, you know, you can agree on, I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that. And to the good people of, you know, Horseheads, or Corny, or Meyer, or whoever's watching this, know that if you had known Andrew, you would have loved him too. You know, some people are probably wondering, well, I explain why I have, you know, this little guy here, because, I mean, I'm going to need something to hug when this is over. That goes without saying. Some people are probably thinking, you know, the robe and the hat kind of take away a little bit from what you're trying to do. Well, fair enough, but, you know, it's sort of a theme I'm doing. You know, it's still around the holidays, still around Christmas time, so, gotta do that. And plus, it's Saturday. I want to stay on nice and cozy. And so I'm going to need to do a lot of hugging, so. Normally, this would be the part in the video where I, say I'm humble ending this video for you guys watching, enjoy for me, and yeah. But here, I want to end it with saying that I am beyond humbled. Well, actually, before I finish, I just want to say another good thing, one bad thing and one good thing that's happened in the last year. Well, not even. Last summer I was in a dark place. And I still met some incredible people. And one, who I dubbed my little sister, gave me this bear. So, in case you're watching, I love you, sis. Hope you're doing well. Now I can end with saying, I am beyond humbled that I made this video for all of you guys to watch, and I was able to share my story with all of you. I am hopeful that you take my story, use it to help forge your own path. Use it to help make good decisions. Use it to use it to look for strength if you want. And always remember, if you're ever feeling depressed or down, or if you really feel, truly horrible, please come to me. I've been there. So I know. I know a lot more than you would think, actually. Not that I'm bragging or anything. In fact, technically it's something I'm not even that proud of. But if you ever needed help, you could always come to me for that. So again, I hope that all of you take my story, spread the good word, use it to help you make good choices, forge your own path, look to the horizon for hope. Because, believe me, it can be bad, but it can be pretty darn good too. And always remember, if you absolutely need help, or want to talk, or just want to have fun, because believe me, I can have fun. You're always free to come talk to me. I'll always be here listening. I'll be making videos every day. I'm certainly not going to stop doing that. And through thick and through thin, be you family or friend, be you man or woman, be you young or old, if you ever need help, I will always do everything I can to do so. Because, like my brothers did around Andrew Einstein's death before me, I will always, most certainly, have your back. This video is actually something I think about the most throughout the entire span of the 365-day year. It's one I look forward to. It's emotionally draining. But good Lord, do I feel a lot better doing it. See ya.